Chapter 2, Literature Review. Organization of the Literature Review. This literature review is organized according to the following major themes: A. The history of art education, B. Conceptual framework, C. Theoretical framework, and D. Rethinking art education to enact critical consciousness. The literature review concludes with a summary of the critical points outlined throughout the literature. The history of art education. Art education during the Renaissance. During the Renaissance period, beginning in the 14th century and ending in the 17th century, art was a part of all the other disciplines such as math, science, and literature. During the Renaissance, art was an integral role in contributing to society through innovation by using art to explore science, technology, engineering, and math. Many of the well-known artists during the Renaissance, including Leonardo da Vinci and Raphael, integrated art into multiple disciplines. Leonardo da Vinci studied anatomy, creating blueprints for engineering and various inventions. During the Renaissance, Leonardo da Vinci was using art to design innovative early concepts for modern-day inventions, such as helicopters, parachutes, and robotics. Leonardo da Vinci worked as an engineer to design water canals for Louis VII and machines to protect the city for the Lord Milan Ludovico il Moro. Leonardo da Vinci depicted these engineering innovative plans by using illustrations and mathematics. Raphael studied science and math to use a one-point perspective technique and atmospheric perspective to create paintings that were more accurate depictions of reality. Many of the lessons learned need to be reintroduced from the Renaissance into the classroom to promote innovation and creativity. Going further back during ancient architecture and communication, science, technology, engineering, art, and math was used. Typography, the Roman alphabet, cuneiforms, hieroglyphics are all forms of art that have all had roles in how societies have evolved to communicate today using innovation that embraced art education through design and illustrations. Innovation. Innovation occurs when interdisciplinary information is combined to create a new solution or product to solve a problem through project-based learning. Innovation is thinking through a problem using possible pre-existing technology or ideas, experimenting, working collaboratively to think from multiple perspectives, and developing a solution that is more effective than the previous solution. The thought process that occurred during the Renaissance incorporated multiple disciplines of math, science, and art to develop innovative solutions. A. Carr and colleagues determined that divergent thinking and creativity were necessary in order for innovation to occur. During the Renaissance, Leonardo da Vinci was using art to design and engineer innovative inventions. Today, Apple, the technology company located in California, has made contributions to developing innovative solutions to make improvements in the computer and phone industries. Apple did not invent the phone, but instead reinvented the phone. Apple used pre-existing technologies such as the internet, phone, video, camera, calculator, music player, and reinvented how all of these devices can be combined into one single device called the iPhone. As innovation becomes increasingly important for employers, individuals will need to be able to differentiate themselves from other potential candidates through divergent thinking. Art education needs to be redesigned as a required subject throughout general education to get students prepared for careers that require divergent thinking in order to compete with other countries through innovation. Although integrating art into other disciplines has benefits that improve student interest and student engagement, art should not be incorporated by educators for ultimately improving just test scores. It is important that educators and policymakers in California recognize how art has historically been a part of the learning process. Art is available as its own course for students, which improves creativity, innovation, and divergent thinking across different fields of work and education through project-based learning. In art education, students learn the same process of innovating through project-based learning. Project-based learning is a component of art education where students plan, experiment, develop, create, and redevelop the artwork if necessary in order to meet the desired outcome of the student for the individual assignment. It is also important that educators and policymakers in California look at how countries such as Norway, Iceland, Switzerland, Denmark, and Finland are leaders in innovation, have moved away from high-stakes testing and incorporated the arts into their curriculum. Incorporating art education as a required course for middle school students is worthy of research, since art classes and the humanities have received less funding compared to science and mathematics. As part of this research, we can assess how schools are mediators of low levels of learning through the banking model. The common misconception by policymakers remains that art only uses low levels of thinking and is only valued for effective or aesthetic contributions. The historical role of art in education. As the economy in the U.S. has become more dependent on high-stakes testing, there has been a focus on what content should be taught by educators to be economically competitive. The U.S. continues to not take into consideration how content could be taught successfully by art educators and how art education has been implemented successfully in the past. Literature indicated that art has historically been interdisciplinary when looking at how societies have explored science, technology, engineering, and math. STEM has been the latest effort to reframe Common Core and No Child Left Behind to prepare students for future innovative careers and to prepare students to have the skills that corporations are looking for. There has even been some effort to integrate art into STEM to create a science, technology, engineering, art, and math curriculum. Art education needs to be a required subject that students receive throughout their pre-K-12 education. Currently, art education is a required course that students only need to take for 1 year in high school. In California, art education is not a course requirement for students' general education in middle school and elementary school. Due to high-stakes testing, students are only required to take one course of art during their pre-K-12 education, but only until high school. Schools with less financial resources for test preparation began to score lower on standardized tests. As a result, these schools began to eliminate art education for programs that were believed to raise students' reading, writing, and math standardized testing scores. Funding that was used for art education was allocated for programs believed to help students academically and score higher on standardized tests. Art education needs to be redesigned as a required subject throughout general education to get students prepared for careers that require divergent thinking in order to compete with other countries through innovation. Since there has been an emphasis on preparing students for high-stakes testing in the United States, there are few districts that incorporate art education into their curriculum since there is no dedicated funding for art. It is also important that educators and policymakers in California take into consideration at how low socioeconomic schools in other states, such as Vermont, began integrating an art-based curriculum. In Burlington, Vermont, the Integrated Arts Academy have implemented a curriculum that the schools incorporate art education into math, science, and English. Since the schools in Burlington, Vermont have integrated art into their core curriculum, they have seen an increase in student engagement and academic achievement. The purpose of incorporating high-stakes testing was to prepare students for future careers in higher education to compete economically with other countries. In reality, other countries such as Norway, Iceland, Switzerland, Denmark, and Finland are leaders in innovation, have moved away from high-stakes testing and incorporated the arts into their pre-K-12 curriculum. Incorporating art education as a required course for middle school students is worthy of research, since art classes and the humanities have received less funding compared to science and mathematics. The common misconception by policymakers remains that only art uses low levels of thinking and is only valid for effective or aesthetic contributions.
Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And feel free to watch any of the other related videos.